Hey, what is going on guys, my name is Gamertag and I'm back for your daily Fortnite video. Now in today's video I'm bringing you the best settings for controller on Fortnite. If you guys are going to enjoy the video or find it helpful, I would appreciate a like down below. Now on the contrary, if you genuinely dislike today's video, feel free to leave a dislike. I would also appreciate a comment letting me know what I can improve on for future videos to make them more enjoyable for you. And if you are new around here and would like to be notified whenever I come out with more daily Fortnite content like this in the future, then feel free to subscribe as well as turning on those post notifications. Anyways, without out of the way, let's hop right into today's video. So as mentioned in today's video, I'm going to be going over the best settings for controller in Fortnite Battle Royale. Now I've done a couple of these videos on my channel in the past month and a half or so, and you guys seem to enjoy them. You've been asking me to basically update it if I ever make any changes. This way you guys can replicate my settings and obviously try to optimize your best playing style. So I have made a little bit of changes to my settings recently over the week, and I find it to be very critical and have definitely helped me improve. Now I change my settings semi-often. I'd say maybe once a week I'll try different settings out, and if they aren't working for me then I'll change them back later in the day, then I end up changing them. However, if I feel like it's made me a better player and has improved like my aim, my building, or whatever the case might be, just improve some form of my gameplay, then I'll typically keep it like this and try to change and tweak anything I can to basically perfect these settings. So I know a lot of you guys are controller would like to replicate it. This way you guys can obviously get the peak performance out of yourselves. Now obviously this goes without saying, but I'd like to preface nonetheless that obviously if you copy my settings and you're used to a completely different setting, it's going to throw you off a little bit and it's going to feel unnatural. So that's why for like settings and sensitivities and things like that, I tend to tell people how to optimize it opposed to basically copying mine, because everyone has a very different comfort zone, which I'll get into here after I go over my settings. Now the main change that I actually made to my settings over the past week and a half have actually been my sensitivity. This is something that a lot of people want to know about because this of course is going to impact and take effect on your aim, your building, your accuracy, and basically all those other things. Now a lot of people have the mindset that in order to have like really cool looking gameplay or whatever and make it look like they're above average in Fortnite, they need to have some crazy high sensitivity. And in reality, this does the opposite of what most people think it will do for them. Again, they think it'll make them be able to pull off crazy plays and things like that. But again, they'll come to a quick realization that that is not reality. It's more or less going to completely destroy your accuracy. You're going to be so unused to it and it's just going to feel unnatural. But at the same time, we don't want our sensitivity to be too low where we're unable to keep up with players while they're moving and just turning very, very slowly and just constantly getting eliminated. So this is why finding the sweet spot for us is going to be very, very important. Now my controller sensitivity, X and Y are the main ones that I've changed, as well as I think I changed my building sensitivity since the last video that I made. However, I'm not too sure. Anyways, my X and Y sensitivity currently is set to 0.698, but you can round it up to like 0.7. So again, I have mine around 0.7 as of right now. It used to actually be higher on my previous video. I believe I had it at 0.77 or 0.768. Anyways, it was close to 0.8. Again, I've knocked it down to 0.7, which is a whole decimal place. So basically going from 8 to 7 was a very, very, very good change for me. And this hasn't affected me in terms of like turning on players, and it hasn't really hindered me in terms of like looking around as fast as I need to. Basically, this is currently what I found for my sweet spot to be at. I have improved my accuracy simply by lowering it to 0.7 opposed to 0.8. I've hit a lot more of my shots, and it's just been a lot easier, and in my opinion I would consider it to be like smoother in a sense. Now my previous video when I had it at around 0.8, I mentioned that it's a lot higher than most people's. I also mentioned that I'm more than likely going to decrease it to try to optimize it, and that's exactly what I've done. I've literally decreased it a whole decimal place, and it really has improved quite a lot for my accuracy, aim, and just general movement in the game. Now, the X and Y sensitivity mainly refers to free aim. So this is going to affect when you're just looking around in general without like a weapon in hand or without aiming down sights. As well, this is used mainly for like pumps and tacks because you don't always aim in with those. You more or less take your shot without aim down sights, and again the X and Y sensitivity is going to affect that. So lowering that will allow you to increase your accuracy for pumps and tacks mainly, as well as if you're hip firing with like an SMG or something. So if yours is at like 0.8 or above, I would really recommend try changing it down, see how that affects your game style for at least a few games, and then optimizing it from there. So again, my X and Y sensitivity is at 0.7, then my controller targeting sensitivity is at now 0.3. I believe my previous video I had it at around 0.33 or 0.35, and I've now lowered it about half a decimal place, and I've also seen an increase and improvement and my accuracy with aiming down as well. So the controller targeting sensitivity refers to ADS, otherwise aim down sights. So if you're aim down sights with like a pump or even like an AR is what you'll mostly use it for, this is what it'll affect. So obviously if you have it way too high, then it's going to make you miss a lot of your shots. You're going to be completely all over the place, and if it's too low, then you're not going to be able to keep up with players as they're moving around in front of you. So I found 0.3 to be good for me. It's not too much of a change since my previous video. If you guys like to have it at 0.33 or 0.35, as long as it's comfortable for you, I'm not going to tell you not to use it. But again, mine is at 0.30. This is currently what I find to be comfortable. My controller scope sensitivity is at around 0.565, and this is again for scoped in. So this is going to be scoped ARs as well as snipers. This is what it'll mainly be used for. And keep in mind that 0.567 is actually lower than a lot of people's, and I'm very surprised by that because honestly, I used to have mine at around 0.7, I believe, when I first started playing, and my sensitivity was all over the place. Like, it was so fast and I could not keep up with anyone as they were passing by, and I was completely overdoing it. Like, if someone was running and I tried to keep up with them, I would go way past them, and it was just messing with my aim a lot. And if yours is higher than mine, then I would really recommend lowering it. This one I think would help you a ton if you're using snipers or scoped ARs. I also used to have it a lot lower than this at one point, and I wasn't able to keep up with people. So currently 0.565 or around here is what I find to be comfortable, and this hasn't changed since my previous video on my settings. Now my controller building sensitivity has gone up since my previous video. And I believe my previous video is at 1.7 or around there, and is currently at 1.92. So it's gone up over 2 decimal places. So that is a huge increase in my opinion, and the reason is because I feel like I've gotten so used to 1.7 that I was able to move up, and I would like to move it all the way up to 2, which is the max. For building sensitivity, I feel like this is not something you can overdo as long as you're comfortable with it. So if you're just at the default, which I believe is 1 or 1.2, basically slowly raise it up more and more. Once you're very comfortable with what it's at, then raise it up just a tiny bit, maybe like a decimal point or something along those lines, and then continuously do that and work your way up. This is how I build relatively fast. Don't get me wrong, I definitely still make errors. That's going to happen regardless of what my sensitivity is at, but they happen a lot less often than obviously what they were at. So hopefully by the time I make another settings video on my channel, once I change it around, this will be all the way up and maxed out. So those are my main settings for my sensitivity. We're now going to hop onto my keybinds, which a lot of you guys constantly ask about. I have a huge wave of new subscribers that just came in, so a lot of you guys have been asking about my settings, or keybinds rather, so here they are. Basically, the only difference that I have is that I actually have sprint by default on, which I truly believe every single player should have on. I basically bind in my edit to the Y button, and that's going to be the triangle button, of course, for PlayStation 4 controllers. And then obviously that takes away toggle pickaxe because I'm on Builder Pro. I then moved my toggle pickaxe to the L3, which is basically clicking in the left analog stick. And that is what sprinting used to be, but obviously I have sprint by default on, so that's no longer needed. And I just find this to be so comfortable. It's easy for me to easily maneuver back and forth, or toggle rather, between my pickaxe as well as something in my inventory. I simply just click where my thumb was already at. And then for edit, I feel like this is just a lot faster. Obviously the default setting is to hold B for like a certain amount of seconds, and I just don't like that. I like having instant edit, so I'm able to simply click Y and I already have my edit up. And then for the people wondering what my confirm button is, that is also on B. And I actually play claw, however this is very doable without claw, and I'll probably be making a video maybe tomorrow how to basically transition from holding the controller regularly to playing claw, because I feel like this was definitely a huge advancement in game style. So again, I play claw, and my keybinds are Y for edit as well as L3 or clicking the left analog stick in for toggling my pickaxe, and then lastly I have B for confirm. That is literally all the differences or changes that I've made for my keybinds, and once again I play on Builder Pro. And then lastly, going on to my dead zone settings. Now this is something a lot of people don't really like to mess with because they have sort of like a confusion around it, because it's something that Epic kind of just threw out there and didn't describe to us really whatsoever. Basically the only description they have is at the bottom, and it's kind of like a warning saying very low dead zones can cause drifts, meaning if it's at like the complete bottom, then your character will kind of look around or move around without you even messing with analog sticks. So we clearly don't want that. I believe the default is set to 0.20, and I had that for my left analog stick, and then for my right analog stick I have this set to 0.27. Reason being is because my left analog stick is again what's used to run around and move. I never really should have that changed. That should never really be changed whatsoever, but the right analog stick is what we use for aiming or moving around whilst we're aim down sights and just general sensitivity settings. So this is one that you might want to optimize. So if you like to use mine, feel free to do so. It's really a very minor change. And for the people that are confused as of what it does, it's basically like the reaction time or the reaction point or zone rather from where you move your analog stick to where it reacts in the game. So the best way to kind of get a feel for what it does is set your dead zone settings all the way up and you'll kind of get an understanding. So that is essentially it for today's video, guys. I simply wanted to go over the best settings for controller on Fortnite in my opinion and show you guys my updated settings. This way you guys can replicate them or just try to get them around here. Of course, again, as I mentioned, your comfortability zone might be different than mine, so definitely try your best to optimize them. But again, if you'd like to replicate my settings, by all means go ahead and do so, and hopefully it helps you improve. So if you guys found the video helpful or enjoyable, I would really appreciate a like down below, as that would mean a lot to me. Also, again, on the contrary, if you genuinely disliked my video, then feel free to leave a dislike on it, and I would appreciate a comment letting me know what I can improve on for future videos to make it more enjoyable for you. And if you're new around here and would like to be notified whenever I come out with more daily Fortnite content like this in the future, then feel free to subscribe. With that out of the way, my name is Gamertag. Thank you all for watching today's video, and I'll see you later. Adios.